And I'm joined now by Tim Donner, Liberty Nation's senior political analyst. Tim, thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure, Michelle. Good to be with you.
Well, we're going to start off with the biggest news of the day. At the time of recording, President Trump put out a Truth Social and then shortly thereafter gaggled with the press to talk about talks that were going with his envoys to Iran that have now called off what we expected to be a strike at 6:44 this evening, according to his 48-hour deadline over the weekend. Let's start with there. Was this a big surprise?
Well, I think it depends on what you really were expecting, and people were expecting different things. But I think history shows that when Trump sets a deadline, he sticks to it unless he shows some mercy and wants to extend it a little bit. But he has absolutely no reason to do that here. So, promise made, promise kept, for better or worse. And I think the Iranian regime, Michelle, it's just a matter of them acknowledging the reality of what's going on around them. They've had 8,000 missiles dropped on them.
Mhm.
They have had their army and navy destroyed, or should I say their air force and their navy destroyed. Uh, they have lost layers of leadership from the Ayatollah on down. So, it's just a matter of reality, just like Venezuela. And what I expect will happen in Cuba, which is they're going to finally embrace reality. And like in Venezuela, you had Delcy Rodriguez suddenly turn from a Marxist into a pro-American leader
Right.
because she embraced the reality of what was happening. Iran simply needs to do that. And the best way to do that is at the bargaining table.
Reporters asked President Trump this morning who he was speaking with or who his envoys were speaking with, and he wouldn't reveal. But the Jerusalem Post reported this morning that it's the parliamentary speaker. Do you believe that they are actually coming to the table, or is this to buy more time as they have in the past?
Well, I think it's probably both, to be honest with you. Um, sure, they're buying time. Who wouldn't? When the country that's attacked you controls the skies, controls the seas, and basically can can cover the nation at will from air and from water, from sea. So where are the options? What options do they really have? What you don't know is how much these mullahs really value their own lives, because famously, Islamists are encouraged to die for the cause. That's what jihad is all about. The same
Right.
as kamikaze um, pilots in World War II for Japan. They're taught to take the final plunge for the sake of their country or their faith. So I think, though, but of course, if I were them, try to buy time, I'd spend a week, 2 weeks at the bargaining table, whatever, Trump is willing to absorb in terms of time. But I'm sure he will set a deadline for the talks to reach something, too. So I think it's good news all around. The best news really being that Iran hopefully appears to be embracing the reality of their situation.
Tim, you wrote three very thoughtful articles about the war in Iran and the backlash that President Trump is getting from both the left and the right. And we'll get to the critiques in a minute. But I want to talk about the timeline of Trump's New World Order that you brought up. If Iran does come to the table, as you said, can we really trust that there aren't these underground Islamist jihadists just refueling, rebuilding, rebooting underground while a new democratic regime, assuming a new democratic leader takes over, that they won't just resurface in 5, 10, 20 years?
Well, this is why Trump has said that the war will end when he is convinced that Iran does not have the capacity to threaten beyond its own borders, because that's the most important thing. That's more important than what the government is. No matter what it is, if they don't have the capacity to threaten their neighbors and to threaten the United States and Israel, then frankly, mission accomplished. And then it becomes up to the Iranians to decide internally who it is they want to lead them, whether that's Reza Pahlavi trying to organize the various factions, which, by the way, are not united in terms of how they envision the new Iran. So there's not widespread agreement like there was in Venezuela with
Right,
Machado, where her surrogate actually won an election by a landslide. So that's
right.
already in place. In Iran, you just don't know. But if they can't threaten Israel, the U.S., and the pro American or moderate Arab states, then whatever government they choose is not going to be nearly the danger that the one that's in place now is.
Recently, the Iranian regime executed 3 young people. One included a wrestler who was celebrated and beloved and a big symbol of the Iranian culture and pride and sports. This was just days before coming to the table with the US. Do you think that that was a symbol of desperation or defiance?
Uh, I don't see where it isn't both of them, to be honest with you. I mean, it's defiance because they're trying to say, hey, we can still have our way. We can maintain our Islamist revolution by force if necessary. Uh, but it's also utter desperation because they know that eventually the dam's going to burst and the thousands, millions really, of rank and file Iranians who demonstrated and protested, which led to the deaths of more than 30,000 of them. Those people are going to come out eventually once they get the high sign that enough military leaders have embraced reality and come to the light side from the dark side, defected. Once that happens, I think everything breaks loose. And the best way to hold that off is to hold that kind of execution to prevent people from returning to the streets by saying, look, we're willing to execute and proudly execute someone for daring to express opposition to the regime. So we won't think twice about gunning you down because you're just an ordinary person, and we've already proven that we will just murder you in cold blood without even thinking about it.
Right, especially when that's been their mantra for years, death to
Yes.
America. Tim Donner will be back after this short commercial break. Stay with us.